There are a number of other plant communities and cover types that probably occur on your property, from woodlands to grassy fields and pastures, as well as agricultural fields. As you're out on your land, you'll want to become familiar with a variety of grasses, native forbs, legumes, wildflowers, shrubs, as well as the tree species. This is particularly important if your interests are to enhance wildlife habitat on your property, as wildlife are directly dependent on the plant communities that occur. Many of these grasses and herbaceous plants are found in open areas with a lot of sunlight, or they may germinate after some sort of soil disturbance. Of course, not all plants are created equal when evaluating them for their wildlife benefits. Let's start with a few examples of some of the grasses. We have both cool and warm season grasses in Missouri, and as you might expect, these grasses have different seasonal growth patterns and, like all plants, are adapted to different types of management. Cool season grasses grow primarily in the early spring and summer, and examples include orchard grass, timothy, and tall fescue. Orchard grass is a perennial bunch grass that is commonly found in Missouri. It's popular as a pasture grass, and its growth pattern and vegetative characteristics are such that it is much more wildlife friendly than some of the other grasses. Timothy is another cool season bunch grass that you may see. It matures a little later in the spring and has a very recognizable seed head. Because of its upright growth characteristics, timothy is also considered a more wildlife friendly grass. Tall fescue is probably the most commonly observed cool season grass in the state. It produces rhizomes, meaning that it grows as a sod-forming grass and can outcompete most other kinds of grasses and weeds. This makes tall fescue a real problem from a wildlife habitat perspective. We also have several species of native warm season grasses that you may commonly see. Many of these perennial grasses were dominant in the native prairies of the state. Warm season grasses begin to grow a little later in the summer. Their growth pattern is such that they provide a high percentage of bare ground and overhead cover that is attractive for many birds and other wildlife species. Here are a couple of the common grasses. Big bluestem used to be the dominant grass in the native prairies of Missouri. Today, this grass is used for forage and wildlife habitat. Here you can see the growth characteristics of this grass and the purplish, spike-like seed head. Switchgrass is another common native warm season grass. The seed head of this grass has a more diffuse panicle. Indian grass has a seed head that is characterized by a long, narrow panicle and turns golden bronze when it matures in the fall. You often see these and other warm season grasses growing in a mixture all together, and when they are managed correctly, can provide tremendous benefits for wildlife that use this cover, such as bobwhite quail and grassland songbirds. Other beneficial warm season grasses that you typically see include broom sedge, which provides excellent nesting cover for bobwhite quail, and foxtail, which also provides wildlife benefits. Another diverse group of herbaceous plants that may be common are known as legumes. Legumes fix nitrogen, which means that they can take atmospheric nitrogen and make it available in a form that the plant can use. Many legumes are also beneficial for wildlife, as they produce high-quality vegetation and seeds that wildlife may utilize. Legumes and other broadleaf forbs are also host plants for insects, which are another valuable wildlife food item. A common group of legumes you are probably familiar with are the clovers, and here are a couple of the common ones which are found in many locations across the state. Red clover is common in many pastures and is commonly planted for a forage as well as a wildlife food item. And white clover, also found in pastures across Missouri and used as a wildlife forage. Other legumes that have wildlife values include the annual aspidisas. These annuals produce an abundance of small, hard seeds that are particularly attractive to many bird species and other wildlife. In addition, there are a number of native legumes found in the state that provide excellent habitat as well. Species such as partridge pea, which may germinate after a disturbance. Partridge pea produces an abundance of seed that wildlife utilize. Wild false indigo, another native legume that is attractive to wildlife, and the tick trefoils, which produce the stick-tight seeds that you may wear on your pants as you walk out of the field. These are excellent foods for bobwhite quail. There are other broadleaf plants that may be weeds to some people, but are valuable for wildlife. These include species like common and giant ragweed, which many of you are probably familiar with. The ragweeds produce seeds that are probably one of the most important food items for quail. Smartweed. Missouri is home to several species of smartweed, and these plants are typically found in areas that tend to have moist soils. Smartweeds produce a lot of seeds that are also beneficial to wildlife, particularly for waterfowl. And pokeberry, a plant that is commonly found near the woodland edge and provides food for wildlife. A few of the vines and shrubs that may be found in openings or along a woody edge on your property include species like greenbrier, which is a vine that you commonly see in the woods and in openings. It is a favored browse species for white-tailed deer. Wild plum, a valuable shrub species which commonly grows in clumps of thickets along an edge. Blackberry, probably a species that everyone has seen or felt, and we all know about the berries that this shrub produces. And sumac, a shrub that also provides valuable habitat for wildlife. There are many other wildlife-friendly vines and shrubs as well. Each of these plants are commonly found in early stages of plant succession, which we will discuss in more detail later on. Of course, these are just examples of a few of the common grasses, legumes, and other forbs that you are more than likely to see. Be sure to spend some time learning about the variety of plants, including all the wildflowers that might be on your property. There are certainly a number of excellent field guides and books available. Several are available from the Missouri Department of Conservation. One in particular is entitled Missouri Wildflowers, written by Edgar Dennison. It makes identifying wildflowers pretty easy and also provides information on the range and habitat where the plant is usually found. MU Extension has created a guide for identifying common pasture grasses and weeds, and there are some excellent guides available that can help you identify shrubs and trees that have been mentioned a little earlier. In conclusion, the species presented in this session are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to all the woody and herbaceous plant species that call Missouri home. If you enjoy brain teasers or like solving puzzles, there's a whole world of them waiting for you in your woodlands and across your property.